A very good day to you. I'm Hank Gross, MidHudsonNews.com. It's Monday, April 8th. The news today brought to you by the Galleria at Crystal Run. The Appellate Division of State Supreme Court has vacated the prison sentence of the former Mount Hope Town supervisor and ordered the case back to county court. Chad Volpe had originally been charged with course of sexual conduct against a child, criminal sexual act, and sexual abuse, but he pled guilty to attempted coercion and was supposed to be sentenced to 5 years of probation. During the probation hearings prior to sentencing, he was accused of not being truthful about the case, but his attorney on appeal, John Ingrassia, noted Volpe had reacted to the initial charges, not the one to which he pled guilty.
We had argued that Mr. Volpe maintained his innocence as to the original crimes charged, and those were the crimes and the conduct which questions were posed of him by the probation department, and therefore, under New York State and United States Supreme Court case law, an accused does not lose their right to remain silent or their privilege against self-incrimination on conduct which they have not pleaded guilty to during that pre-sentence investigation preparation stage.
Volpe continues to serve 1 1/3 to 4 years in prison, but Ingrassia said when the case is returned to county court, he expects the sentence to be dismissed, with Volpe being given 5 years of probation. The State Office of Child and Family Services and Community Development Institute have been licensed to open Head Start and Early Head Start program centers in Woodburn and Monticello. Those locally operated centers abruptly shut down weeks ago with no public explanation, leaving families with no care options for their children. Now the programs are slated to reopen on Tuesday, April 9th and Wednesday, April 10th in a phased-in approach. At 100 years old, Dennis DeGroat of Port Jervis has lived an active life of service. DeGroat, a Purple Heart recipient, has been committed to his family, his community, and his country throughout his entire life. He served his nation as an Army combat engineer in some of the fierce battles of World War II, then returned home as a wounded veteran to establish and run his own well drilling, heating, and plumbing business into his 90s. He and his late wife Marion raised 8 children. DeGroat was surprised with a 100th birthday celebration at the Erie Trackside Manor, exactly 100 years from the April 6, 1924 date of his birth. Accolades and citations were presented by Port Jervis Mayor Dominic Sicalese and Senator James Skoufis, who put DeGroat's birth year into context.
Calvin Coolidge was president. He gave the first radio address of any president in the country's history, 1924. That year, we discovered that the Milky Way galaxy is not the only galaxy in the universe. We found a second galaxy. You know how many there are now that we know about? 1 trillion, literally 1 trillion.
Mayor Sicalese drew a standing ovation as he greeted DeGroat as a fellow Aries and proclaimed April 6, 2024 as Dennis DeGroat Day in Port Jervis. More news right after this.
Find over 100 retailers allowing you to spend hours shopping safely at the Galleria at Crystal Run. Enjoy the big brands and the diverse selection of family-owned stores all in one location. The Galleria at Crystal Run offers dining options for everyone with Fuji 110 Grill, Allen's Mediterranean Grill, and Peru Cuisine. Discover the Mid-Hudson Valley's premier shopping, dining, and entertainment destination, the Galleria at Crystal Run. For more information, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or visit GalleriaCrystalRun.com.
After years of discussion between Dutchess County, Metro North, and the city of Beacon, the county is undertaking a study into creating a rail trail along the old Beacon-Hopewell rail line. Beacon Mayor Lee Kuriakou says the stretch of abandoned tracks could become part of a statewide system.
Successfully encouraged the county to consider expanding the rail trail system with Metro North's former Beacon line, which runs from our train station along Fishkill Creek, Main Street, and Route 52, and then north to Hopewell. That connects into the Empire State Rail system all the way to Buffalo and the Canadian border. Dutchess County Planning has kicked off a feasibility study at our request late this year, and so we're expecting that to do their work this year, and we believe that's the start of an exciting decade-long project.
If approved, the new rail trail portion would extend for 13 miles. Eli McNair, a student at South Middle School in Newburgh, is headed to the prestigious National Scripps Spelling Bee in May in Washington, D.C. McNair will compete against 200 spellers from around the world at the event, which will be held from May 26th through 31st. He won the regional spelling bee last month to qualify for the national event. McNair competed against 25 students from Orange County school districts at that regional event. Mayor Stephen Noble and Council President Andrea Shout have proposed a plan to remove the city-owned sidewalk canopies along portions of Wall Street and North Front Street in uptown Kingston, known as the Pike Plan. The mayor says the Pike Plan has been a source of debate and concern for many years, and now the structure has reached what he called a crisis point. He said the council president and he believe the best decision is to remove the canopy and return to historic facades of the Stockade District. He said Kingston has worked extensively to protect and preserve its historic buildings and architecture, and the Pike Plan is not a part of their historic fabric. The estimated cost of removal is more than $1 million. Now that the city of Kingston has a new zoning code, they're not going to hear the phrase "not in my backyard," Mayor Stephen Noble says. The mayor says his city is a pro-housing community, and that means for all types of housing as the need continues to put affordable roofs over people's heads.
Not in my backyard is a word that they're not going to hear now because of our new zoning code, because it's really prescriptive of what can and cannot be built. And so that was what really inspired us to be a pro-housing community, and to also recognize that we've really been grant forward. We've been working to try to get as much grant funding for Kingston as possible to help fulfill all of our goals.
Noble said Kingston wants to get priority in the highest competitive grant programs for housing. I'm Hank Gross, MidHudsonNews.com. The news today brought to you by the Galleria at Crystal Run.